for me, like this is now speaking from my experience, the next closest thing to getting injured was when I used to train with horses, because I was, as part of my role, my ceremonial role, I had to learn how to ride horses.
Did you get kicked by a horse?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What happened? Did you do the thing that you're not meant to do, like stand behind the horse? Like smack on the arse?
Oh, I'm actually.
Welcome to a new episode of Add Oil Podcast. We are back. And I have with me Eric. Say hi, Eric.
Hi, everyone. It's me. It's Eric.
You make it sound like you're talking to a class of students.
Oh, okay. Let's do that again.
Oh, God. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Add Oil Podcast. I am joined by Eric.
Hi. It's me again. It's Eric again. What's going on? Hello.
Hello. Unfortunately, we don't have Noda with us today because she is away doing her things and going on holiday and not being with us. But we have each other. So, how are you, Eric?
I'm not too bad, actually. I'm quite hungry. Haven't had dinner yet.
Bruh.
Quite unusual to have a
what-
podcast in the evening. Usually in the morning, no?
Usually, yes. But because we don't have Noda, and she normally is only available during the morning of the Saturday. But because she's not here, it's kind of more flexible. Anyways, you recently went to an army training session. How's that?
Yeah, I did. I got back yesterday. It was a week of camp training. It was fun. I had a great time. Tired, but really good fun.
Was it intense?
Really, really good fun. Huh?
Was it intense? Because when you hear army training, it sounds very physical.
Well, there's different levels of intensity. I'm in a band, so it's not as intense as it would be if you were infantry. But we managed to do quite a lot of music making, and then on top of that, I just played a lot of badminton and squash. So I'm really knackered, like mentally and physically.
So, like, you said that you were.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting like physical training, like, because when you hear army
Oh no, we didn't.
training,
Yeah, we didn't really do. I mean, compared to when I was in basic training, it's nothing like that. No, it's
Like-
not like you're running around with like 40 kilos on your back and
yeah,
a weapon, and you're scaring the locals, pretending to be camouflaged, but actually you're not because you're wearing high-vis jackets. No, it's not. No, it's nothing like that. No, it was in the band. So I'm in the reserves band, and every year, as if I wanted to collect my bounty, which is like a tax-free money bonus, I have to do a certain number of days. So for my band, I have to do 8 days of consecutive days away in camp. I'd missed my one, the one for my unit, so I had to join a different unit, and they did theirs last week.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was just 4 bands. It's it's musical training most foremost.
You mentioned how you were in a reserve band. Like, what is that? Like different types of bands?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm with the British Army. So you have a full-time regular band, which I was before I joined this, like a long time ago, between 2011 and 2016. I left in 2016, and I just rejoined into a reserve band. And the reserve band is, those who aren't familiar with the Army Reserves, is basically part-time soldiering. In this case, part-time musician for the army. Yeah, so it's not my day job, if you like.
Mm.
It's just on the side.
How different is it, like compared to, I guess, normal infantry? Well, I wouldn't say normal, but like infantry level army.
Um, that's a very good question. I should know. But I actually don't know the full difference between um the actual terms and conditions of what it's like to be as a reserve musician. I really should research this because it's my life on the line. But as far as I know, we are at limited capability. So what that means is, um, if or when the United Kingdom goes to war, we are not as readily deployable as infantry units would be.
Mm.
Because obviously our role is ceremonial. But a lot of us, especially me as a um, ex-regular, as we call it, like I used to be in the full-time British Army,
Mm.
where every year I have to keep up with some sort of soldiering skills. As a part-time reserve musician, my role is mostly just to play music and do musical training. So I don't think we are able to get involved in any conflicts as we are. We probably, I mean, if that happened, if we needed to get involved, obviously we're more likely to be the ones first before conscription happens. Do you know what conscription is?
No idea.
So conscription is when the member of the civilian population, i.e., non-military units,
Mm.
like you, will be forced to join the military
Oh, okay.
to protect, yeah, the land, as you
Mm.
like to call it, or as one would call it. Because yeah, we are. So if you like, the full-time regular um, soldiers, and then you have the part-time reservists, and then you have the civilian population. And actually, even in the regular and the part-time or reservists, there's a huge variety of capabilities within those two different roles. So there are obviously units that are always ready,
Mm.
whether they are in reserves or full-time. But likewise, in the regulars, there's full-time musicians. They're not going to be the first ones to go all out, guns a blazing,
Mm.
because they would need extra training. It's all really hypothetical. I just go in for music really these days.
Okay, so then have you had the is it like a standard training for all I guess members of the army to like undergo? Like is there like a standard training?
Mm, on paper, yes. Yeah. So everybody has to pass a basic fitness test. Um, they're, I think now they're different according to what regiment and what sort of trade you're in, the military. So, for example, um, like commandos and parachute trained units will have a different level of fitness test compared to musicians.
Mm.
and admin roles. Um, but for very specific roles, then you have your fitness tests. But everybody will have to pass weapons handling, like basic weapons handling. Um, when I used to be in the regulars, it was being able to service and use and operate SA-80 rifles. I don't know, maybe like you can edit. Ta-da! Here's the SA-80.
I don't think that's within YouTube guidelines, but
Oh, can you not? Let's
I
just
don't.
like,
I
maybe you
wouldn't
can like just doodle
think
it.
so.
You can just doodle what an SAT, right?
On MS
SAT
Paint,
rifle.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So when if somebody goes through basic training, um, that's the weapon that soldiers operate,
Okay.
recruits operate. Yeah, um, yeah, yeah. So there's like basic levels of tests that on paper every soldier should be able to pass.
Mm. Is it like? Is it quite difficult to get like to pass it? Like, do you have to study like quite hard?
Uh, mm, like for me now, because I just joined in January, I haven't had to do a lot of the compulsory training requirements because they get spread out throughout the year.
Mm.
The only one I had to do was the camp that I did last week. They're all musical training. Um, Fitness tests, they're not particularly that difficult to pass. They've changed them since I left. So and I haven't had to do one recently, so I'm not sure what it is now. But as far as I know, you do bleep tests and you do
Oh
some
god.
sort of carry like some, I think 20 kilos on each hand, and you have to carry it down a certain number of like meters. That's fairly easy. I thought it was going to be really difficult actually. When I was when I was preparing for that in like so many years ago, 10 years ago. Um, what I used to do when I was in the regulars was you had to run a mile and a half, which is 2.4 kilometers, in 10 minutes 30 seconds.
Like
That's part of like
exactly
your
that
unit.
time or?
You can go below,
Oh, okay.
but if you go above, like if you do 10:31, then you fail the test.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Um, I guess for me, because I'm not particularly that fit,
Mm.
but I'm not particularly unfit either. Um, when I started, when I set out to join, um, my first recorded time was like 13 minutes because I hadn't really done any particular training. I was just like a bit of a nerd in
Mm.
uni, and then I decided to go and join the army. So it was 13 something minutes, 13:30. Then when I gradually got it down to 10:08.
Oh,
That was
okay.
when I had to pass the army selection,
Mm.
where that's your official sort of, you walk through the barracks and you say I want to join the military, and then basically do these tests, and if you're in, okay, we'll slot you into the next training, like the next available basic training. So
Mm.
I got that down to 10:08. Had to do 44 press ups in 2 minutes. I think I did. I think I just did the bare minimum, like 45, 50, something like that, and 60 sit ups.
Damn.
Yeah. If you hadn't trained push ups, you would fail it. Not
Yeah.
you as a person, but like
No, I
because
would
you
I
had,
would
you had
agree.
yeah, you have to build. It's more of a skill and training very specific muscles to pass press ups.
Mm.
Because even people who go to the gym, like really big beefy guys, they won't be able to pass the press up test because it's both a test of strength and how many repetitions you can do
Mm.
in 2 minutes. So you
Yeah.
get like these really big guys who would fail on it, and sit ups. And unless they're training their core abs and their upper body chests, then yeah, people would fail it.
Well,
So
good thing.
I just do them.
Good thing I'm not thinking of joining the army anytime soon. Because
This becomes like a recruiting video for the
we are
military.
not sponsored. We are not
Yeah.
endorsing.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Um I had a misconception actually that people who join the military are like superhuman, super athletes. But I wasn't. I certainly didn't play sports when I was in uni,
mm,
apart from the one or two badminton sessions. Um, yeah. Um, you just had to train. Like I remember running around Regent's Park so many
mm.
times on the lead up to my selection to the actual basic training tests. Yeah. So it's
Did
doable. If I could do it, you could do it too, if you wanted to.
Did you ever have any like like extremely intense or like life-threatening experiences whilst you're in the army,
Mm,
or was it like strictly ceremonial? I mean, even ceremonies, you have to prepare for like I don't know disasters.
well, in basic training, you had to fire live weapons
Mm,
with live ammunitions. And you might, or I might be like really cautious and really particular with my rifle drills, but the person next to you might be an idiot.
mm,
And one of the things that they teach us right from the beginning is to never point your weapon, even when you're playing around, at
mm,
somebody. So even if it didn't have a magazine, like the magazine is where you put the rounds, the bullets,
mm.
you don't do that. And I remember in training, um, people would do what we called negligent discharge, and that's like accidentally pressing the trigger.
How can you? Okay.
Yeah, like humans are just absolutely idiotic at the best of times. Sorry, not the best of times, but like opportune moments.
Yeah.
Because people get really tired,
Mm.
and when people get really tired and you add water to them, i.e., when it's raining,
Uh,
people become absolute dum-dums. And it was quite scary to have a negligent discharge in live fire exercise because that's actual real bullets
so
that kill people.
like
That
what
hasn't happened to me. No.
have you ever like experienced it? Like
N- People in my troop have had negligent discharge during live fire training.
that's
That was quite scary.
yeah, I'd imagine.
The next closest thing to probably really injuring myself, um, mm, well, not actually, not to me, but still kind of in within the realms of basic training, obstacle courses, like scaling up walls and walking down pipes. We call them kitty walks.
Kitty
Like basically
walks.
like a tube that's this like a length of tube, and you have
Mm.
to walk and balance through them with a weapon and some sort of backpack. Um, because you either slip and like smash your balls, or you slip and then you smack your head either on the ground or on the bar. And I've seen people slip on them.
And what was that like?
Painful, I guess.
Like, were you guys wearing like full uniform, helmets, and everything, or
Yeah, and combat boots.
yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So technically, you shouldn't break your skull when you go off on them, but obviously there's parts of your face that aren't covered by the helmet. So like your nose, your chin, um, and I've seen people get concussions when they fall.
Eesh.
I don't know, like tall people problems when they even with the helmet and they hit the ground, their head hits the floor with the helmet and they get a bit concussed. Or
Damn.
they fall off a really tall wall. Like I think the highest wall was I think it was a 10-foot wall. Um, but yeah, that's the only time that I've seen people like get injured. Um, people, oh, so when they jump off walls,
Mm.
they those boots really should have protected the ankles, but some of them still break their ankles doing them because we had the old school boots. Um, yeah, it's strange how people break stuff.
When we say old school boots, is it? What do you mean by that?
Um, they look like they're not quite like Dr. Martens because there's a little bit more padding to them and a little bit more structure to them. But imagine Dr. Martin boots. So
Oh,
those
okay.
kind of like similar to what old army boot styles were like. They've changed them now to a different model,
Mm.
which has a little bit more ankle support, to to make it less likely that you'll break your ankles. And then the closest for me, like this is now speaking from my experience, the next closest thing to getting injured was when I used to train with horses. Because I was, as part of my role, my ceremonial role, I had to learn how to ride horses.
Did you get kicked by a horse?
Yeah, yeah,
Seriously?
uh, yeah, yeah.
What happened? Did you like? Did you do the thing that you're not meant to do, like stand behind the horse and then
Uh,
like smack it on the ass?
oh, I'm actually quite good at not doing that. And um, but so sometimes the horses, if they really don't really like you, even when they're in the stalls, they'll try and like like push you onto the wall
Mm.
with their whole body weight. Imagine like a horse is like 600 kilos
Yeah.
of a beast, and then they will slam you onto the wall of the stall that they're in.
Mm.
Um, I've had several horses that would buck, so it feels like you're on a buckaroo simulation.
For people who don't know
Uh,
what buckaroo means, what is that?
it's when the horses like literally get off my back kind of thing, and they would just like flop about.
Okay,
And
like seesaw, I guess. Is that?
yeah, I guess yeah. And they're just trying to get you off. Like
Yeah.
I'm not liking what you're doing on my back, so get off it, please. But not quite as polite as that.
Mm.
I think there's a video of me on YouTube
Oh.
uh, on my grey horse, white horse. Um, I think that the horse was trying to dance to Can Can, and it was just not having a great time. Um, actually, on that note, did this happen to one of my colleagues? He was double barreled on the face by a horse.
What do you mean double barreled?
So a double barrel is what we call when the two back legs of a horse go um kick you. That-
Oh.
So that's ooh, ooh, bloop, bloop.
Okay.
So you're standing here, and then they really hate you. They go, bloop,
Oh.
and then they go,
Okay.
ow.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that was an
So
actual like term, like double
yeah.
barrel.
Well, we just that's how we call them. You get double
Okay.
barreled. So they're basically just standing on on their front legs, and then they kick out with both of their legs, both of their hind legs, and that means that horse really, really, really disliked you.
To the point where
You've done
it
something
will
wrong
kill
to
you.
that horse. Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, the guy, um, he had to have, I think, 4 or 5 of his teeth on this
Oof.
side of the face removed, and he's had to have a facial plastic surgery
Ooh.
on this part of the face. He's got some uh, fractures on the skull, on the back of his skull. Yeah, it's like a mess. So
Damn.
that hasn't happened to me, but there are instances where that could have happened to me because of we don't really have a specific horse that we just keep using,
Mm.
keep going on, just like different horses. So you have to be very careful, and treat each and every single one of those as actual killers.
I would have thought like you'll be assigned like a main horse and a backup horse.
No, it's just part of the training is you have to be able to work with
Any
as
horse.
many different horses as you can because the horses in this is quite hyperbolic, but in terms of war, if that horse died,
Mm.
then you can't be incapacitated just because your horse passed away. You have to be able to like still function as a soldier
Mm.
with a different horse.
That's fair.
It's really sad. It's really strange, but yeah. Actually, it was quite fun. Part of the fun was being able to work with different horses
Okay.
until you get a really annoying horse.
So
That's not no.
so expanding on your point on having fun with horses, what other like fun moments did you have like during being in the army?
Mm, related to horses or army
Or
in
like
general?
in general?
Oh, hmm. There's too many to mention. Actually, uh, I was in the military full time between middle of 2011 to middle of 2016. Yeah, 'cause I left to train to teach,
Mm.
and those 5 years were basically hands down the best 5 years of my life. As a
Damn.
single guy with no commitments and being able to do so many different things, that's definitely the best 5 years of my life.
Damn. What was like one thing that you enjoyed the most? Like out of those things?
Mm,
Or would you rather not
I think just
disclose?
being challenged. Yeah, being challenged like all the time.
Challenge how?
I thrive as a person, like I thrive on not being idle, even though I'm actually a really lazy person,
Mm-hmm.
but um having something to do that's challenging, and because when it's challenging, I find it really interesting.
Mm.
So I went from again, I mentioned like I wasn't particularly very fit, but I wasn't unfit. So seeing my progress um in terms of fitness, I found that really challenging, but it was just enough to kind of like spur me on. Breaking through my barriers and limits
Mm.
through overcoming those challenges. I thought that was quite fun. Then I my musical training, that was challenging, really challenging for me actually,
How
because
so?
I wasn't a I wasn't an actual oboist. So I guess for context, I play oboe for the military. I came in to the army or I joined the military to be an oboe player,
Oh,
but not being a proper oboe player before I joined.
so you
So that was
chose you chose to be an oboe player, but you never actually played oboe before.
I did like really loosely because
Okay.
I had to audition as an oboe player.
Uh huh.
Um but I hadn't done any actual lessons on it, like proper lessons, like
Mm.
full on study oboe. Like compared to some of my peers who'd gone and done music colleges with degrees in, I don't know, saxophone performance or trumpet performance, I didn't have any of those. I did my degree in geography. So I had to, once I realized And once I was committed to the idea that I wanted to be an oboe player in the military, I did dedicate bajillions of time,
Mm.
like a stupid amount of time to pass the audition. Um, but I I guess one way to think about it, if you like familiar with grades, is I had to do my grade six, I think 6 months in, 6 months or 4 months, 4 months into when I moved on to musical training to
Wait,
prove that I was progressing.
what's grade six?
So a lot of musicians in school, like high school, grades like or elementary school, primary, sorry,
Primary,
the
secondary school.
Americanism there. Primary, primary and secondary school, year one to, I don't know, year 12, year 13. Um, s- Many students in the UK do grade exams.
Mm.
They're done through like an exam board like ABRSM or Trinity music exams. They're basically like a series of exams that that kind of give you an idea of what level you're at.
Mm.
And to be accepted to go into university to study music performance, usually they want you to be at least grade 8. Okay.
Is that
Um,
like GCSE equivalent or like A level equivalent
like
or
just a little bit higher than A level.
okay?
Yeah. Um, like in terms of being able to play them,
Yeah.
grade 8 is considered to be like good
Okay.
for without any comparison. Like if you're not playing professionally, I think grade 8 is quite a decent grade to kind of give you an idea of what sort of music you can play. Um, it means that you're kind of like supposedly exposed to quite a lot of the techniques that you would need to play in a like in an orchestra or or ensembles.
Mm.
Kind of like a basic level,
Mm.
but it's still pretty good. Like if you don't know anything about music and then you heard somebody play a grade 8 piece at a grade 8 level that would pass a grade 8 exam, you would hear them and go, "Ooh, oh God, that sounds really nice." Yeah. So, but I had to do grade 6, which is 2 levels below when I was in musical training.
Mm.
In the grand scheme of being a professional musician, grade 6 is like nothing. It's literally like probably in being in year 6.
I mean, grade year six is probably better than me.
Yeah, well, yeah, like yeah, year 6 in school. Imagine your average year 6 student. I don't know, it's just like really difficult to kind of talk hypothetically, but imagine your random average year 6 student saying, I'm going to play an orchestra now.
Was that you?
Yeah. That's what it felt like. Um, yeah. So that was a challenge for me was I needed to find a way to overcome grade 6 on oboe.
Mm.
And then I needed to be at least grade 8 level in order to complete musical training
Mm.
or like move on to the next thing that the army would send me to, which was being posted to a band, like a full-time professional band.
Was it quite
And then I'll
hard?
continue my training there.
Was it quite hard to like get to that level?
Yeah, it was. For me, it was really hard. I remember I had to, I was practicing between 8 to 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, that
It,
is very.
it was some serious dedication. To
Yeah.
be fair, a lot of those were probably not productive
Oh, okay.
because part of the, I think part of the experience in any for any musicians is finding an effective way to practice music.
Mm.
Um, like looking back at it now, probably the first 6 months of my time in musical training, I was just playing things, playing
Mm.
and playing, playing them. Um, not, I could have played them with a little bit more thinking rather than just playing them.
Like blindly playing.
Yeah, yeah. I think I see this in my students actually when I teach them something creative. A lot of my students will just do what they think they're really good at,
Mm.
but there's no point in practicing what you're good at if you're already good at it.
They need to put their heart into it.
No, not even that. Like,
Oh.
I mean, the heart will obviously be in it because that's what motivates you to do them.
Mm.
But the whole point of training is you, I think for me anyway, um, the whole point of training is to practice what you're not good at.
Okay.
And
Okay.
push yourself to sound really it takes a lot of mental skill to be constantly reminded how rubbish you are. And then breaking through that barrier because you want to get better at them.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really tough for me. So tough. I had
I'd imagine.
nightmares with them.
Well, we're gonna leave you with that bit of wisdom from Eric, and we'll come back after a quick break. Did you know that the Adult podcast is also available on YouTube and Spotify? So you can listen to our conversations anywhere you go, whether it's commuting underground or, gallivanting in the fields of the countryside. We are available everywhere. Also, we have new content coming out soon, so if you're interested, please subscribe to our YouTube and show us some support. Same with Spotify, if you'd like to keep updated on all of our episodes, you can follow us on Spotify. And we're back with Eric and me for the Add Oil podcast. Eric made some food.
I made some food.
It's not an Add Oil podcast without you making food or eating food. What are you eating?
It's a Filipino. We call it bistec. Bistec.
Piss
It's
take.
basically beef, with lots of onion, stewed in vinegar and soy sauce, and then because there's not much left in it, it's basically leftovers. I just fried some eggs.
That sounds delicious. Where is your fiber?
No.
Where is your vegetables, young man?
Non-existent, clearly.
You're gonna have the you're gonna have the struggle of pooping.
I did, I did buy some salad things.
Oh.
But no, I'm gonna have fruits later.
You're gonna have fruits later.
Yeah, to ease the passage of bowels.
Oh, we love that. Right. Whilst we were on a break, you said that you wanted to ask me a question.
Yeah, I do. So I kind of ended up going on a monologue about my my army experience, but I wanted to ask you about what are your conceptions of A, being a musician, but also B, as an army musician.
I guess when you say army musician, my first thoughts would be like, you know how, you probably won't know, but I guess the idea is that when What I have in my head is that when, I guess in this case, soldiers go into war, I would imagine the musicians in like the back line just playing music
Hey,
for
music.
morale and like waving that flag around. That's what I had imagined.
Uh, we'll play the final countdown. Do-do-do-do.
If
Do-do-do-do-do.
that actually happened, that would be amazing.
Yeah, not quite, John.
Not at all.
Not what we do.
So, is it like pure ceremonious? Like
Mm,
what? Like, how wrong am I?
no, well, carry on. I'll address those. Well, actually, maybe I should write this down. So that I don't forget. Give me a pen. Should have a pen. Okay, so you said
I
that
said
musicians in the background.
in the
In the
back
background.
line of war, playing Final Countdown. Hopefully the soldiers in the front line can hear the final countdown, and hopefully it boosts their morale. And you guys are waving
Okay.
flags and having a party.
Oh, next one. Next conception. Oh,
Um,
sorry, Basil. Oh, sorry, I just kicked you. I'm
oh
so
my
sorry, baby.
god, this is animal abuse that
Oh,
has just
I'm
been
sorry.
recorded.
Oh, my poor Basil. By the way, I'm. This is
Oh,
Basil.
hello, Basil.
I removed his mustache,
You
so
removed
he's
his
not feeling the happiest
Oh my god,
with me anymore.
he looks so clean. No
Oh,
offense.
my poor Basil. He looks like a rat now, don't you, baby? I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's well, the main problem that we had whilst we were like babysitting him was that whenever he drank water, his mustache would get very wet, and
Yeah.
he would nuzzle his wet mustache on us.
Oh, my poor baby. Sorry. Okay, off we go. Okay, so carry on. Conception number 2.
Conception number
Sorry.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you know how in like mm,
Cookie does not like you thinking about music. No, just...
uh I don't know what to call it, but like the festivals on the streets. I guess like carnival is one,
Okay. What do
or
we
like
do
is
on
a good
them?
example. Good example, but not strictly carnival. I guess that you guys would just march down the streets and play your music,
Okay, march down street
but in
playing
uniform.
music in carnivals. Carnivals and festivals. Next.
I
Or anything
guess.
else. Sorry, not next.
What other
Oh,
conceptions?
you must have more than two.
I don't know. I guess when you say musicians, I don't really imagine you guys shooting guns, but more so
Okay.
just playing instruments for morale, I guess, or ceremonial.
Hmm.
Like I guess when we were having that coronation, I would imagine the army band would be there.
Okay. Yep.
Obviously, I don't follow the royal coronation, so I didn't know if there was. I'm
No,
sure
it's
there.
fine because actually, you're not the only one who are not really interested in the monarchy. I think less and less people, fewer? No, less.
I would say my generation, which is like generations Gen Z, aren't interested in the monarchy or like
Yeah,
against the monarchy.
few. What is the correct grammatical word for this? Fewer and fewer people are interested in the daily dealings and operations of
The royals.
A government and B the monarchy.
Mm.
Yeah, like you're not the only one. Yeah. So it is pretty interesting to like talk about this in a podcast that's not
Mm.
related and affiliated to any of those things that we've mentioned above. Right,
So
anything else? Is that it? Should I start
that
to
is
comment
it.
on them?
Go ahead. How wrong am
Okay,
I?
so first one, you said that musicians play in the background things like Final Countdown, and that would
You said Final Countdown, not me.
that would boost the morale of the troops uh, during active warfare.
Mm.
Yeah, when you say active warfare, like literally things that are like bullets are flying overhead, and
Obviously, this is exaggerated. I don't
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
this.
No, no, conception's a conception, isn't it? It's like what you think about what we do.
Yeah.
Or that's pretty interesting to talk about. Yeah, so active warfare, yes?
Mm.
Okay. No, not really. So the gone are the days of actually having actual musicians get involved in active warfare. Back in so many years ago, like so many years ago, yes,
Mm.
musicians were definitely part of active warfare because drums and trumpets, in some cases, I guess, pipes. Although I'm not sure how effective that would be because probably can't hear pipes that well from a distance. But drummers and trumpeters used to relay signals and commands to troops on the ground.
Oh.
Um, so drummers obviously well before gunfires were a thing because it's quite easy to confuse, I guess, gunshots with drum beats. Um, but yeah, they would get in. So traditionally, um, coming from coming from a cavalry background, trumpet players used to be on grey horses. I don't know when they started doing the tradition. I can't really remember.
Mm.
Um, but trumpeters will be on grey horses, so that the generals and the troops can see, um, they can see them. And
Mm.
then when they play tunes, it will either tell the troops to go forward, come back, or do some other different maneuvers. Because as you
Ho-
can imagine, if you are in active warfare, people will be shouting a lot.
Hold that thought. Do you know Dragon Boat Racing?
No?
Okay, never mind then. Because in Dragon Boat Racing, I'm pretty sure they have like a drummer at the back. And I'm guessing the rowers have to row according to the beat, which is sort of what you were saying about
Oh,
about
you
the
mean the Chinese boat racing?
yes.
Is that what you mean? Yeah, 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 yeah. So something like that. Yes, yes. So the one way is to coordinate people's movements and things like that. Yeah,
Mm.
that is essentially the role of musicians.
Okay.
Um, but obviously, as warfare gets even more interesting and bloody and have lots and lots of different ways to maim and kill other people, the effectiveness of musicians in the battlefield um eventually got less and less.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's point number one. We don't do them anymore. Um, Number two, march down the street, play music in carnivals and festivals. That is correct. Yes,
Oh.
that's what we do.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So you get one clap.
Woo!
You get one clap for getting that correct. We do play music, marching down the streets, but also kind of in sit-down concerts where
Mm.
we're sat down and playing music. The idea behind it is to, I guess, entertain crowds.
Mm.
Um, we are, after all, representing the government, and by extension, all the other institutions that come with it, like the monarchy and everything else that people would want to attach to. But yeah, predominantly we represent the government and the monarchy. to entertain and bring smiles to people through the music that we play.
Is this all like with? I'm assuming this is all in like uniform, right?
Yeah,
Is this all
yeah.
like
So
camo?
no, not necessarily in camo, but yeah, some bands have played in camo in concerts before. Um, but I guess the most iconic one would be, I don't know, maybe you can edit this as a overlay. I can give you some photographs. But the most famous one, or more well-known ones, are the foot guard musicians.
The foot guard
They're the ones that wear
musicians.
red and a giant tall hat, tall
Oh,
furry hat.
like the ones in central London, not central London,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
like
by Buckingham Palace.
yes.
Yeah, so they have a musician group, or actually there's five groups that to a normal non-military person, they all look the same, but there are five different units of foot guards, and you had to be looking to find out what the difference are. But from a distance, they all look the same, just red coats with big, tall, furry hats. Yeah, so
Well,
that's the uniform that they wear.
I would imagine
Hmm?
that they would be in the, I guess, royal unit. I don't know, as opposed to like the
Um,
normal, I
yeah, I
guess,
guess
army
without going into
band.
detail, they are part of the household division,
Mm.
and the household division, if you like, they're the units of soldiers whose main role is to protect the interest of the monarchy.
Mm.
Yeah, so that if you like the king's personal bodyguards.
Mm. Okay.
But even that is also now slightly blurred because obviously they have their own private security
Mm.
that may or may not have been part of the guards when they were in the military. I don't know. It's all kind of like blurred out now. Yeah, so yeah, we do play in festivals, either as a sat down concert or in a kind of marching band capability.
Mm.
We do those. Mm, number three. Oh yeah, so just a bit of context then. Not a bit more detail, not context. Music could be your traditional marches that many people would just associate with army bands, military
Mm.
bands. But also we play arrangements of pop music and
Oh,
all sorts of other music from
We love Britney Spears from from the army band.
right, yeah, yeah. We've played. Did we play Britney Spears music?
A bit
I don't
of
think we have.
Taylor Swift.
Some bands may have played a Taylor Swift one, but I know we've played Coldplay a lot.
Oh wow, okay.
Coldplay, Adele. I remember playing Michael Bublé tunes.
Oh, we love Michael Boob.
Um, yeah, yep. The crowd loves it. I remember when it's become like a meme within army bands. We
Mm.
play Star Wars on the 4th of May.
Okay.
Yep. We play Christmas music,
Do you ever play music
Remembrance.
from like, um, I guess more, uh, how do you like? I guess music from fantasy shows like Game of Thrones or like House of
Yeah.
Dragons. Oh, you
Yes,
do?
we've played Game of Thrones outside Buckingham Palace. We've played Everything is Awesome.
Okay,
Da, 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 da,
from the
da,
Lego
da, da,
Movie.
da, da.
Yes.
Yep, we've
Okay.
played that. Um, what else? We've played your traditional classical music
Mm.
that you would hear from orchestras arranged for the wind band. Um, Jazz, we've played jazz.
Oh damn.
Mm, yeah, it's really varied. I mean, national anthems from different places. I've
Oh.
played I've played the Polish anthem, the German anthem, um, I've not played Ukraine anthem actually. Uh, what else?
Question: why would you play a different country's anthem?
Um, when I was in the cavalry, the Blues and Royals or the Household Cavalry, as I mentioned before, we are attached to the monarch,
Hmm.
and one of the monarch's main duties is to officially welcome a head of state when they come to visit the UK.
Got it.
So there's like a big parade of like, oh, this is the president of Mexico.
Hmm.
Actually, that's one gig that I did. Um, it's called the state visit of the president of Mexico. Or we also played the national anthem for the US when Donald Trump came to visit.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Wait, Donald Trump? I don't
Biden.
remember when did Donald Trump get elected?
Like 20. I want to say 2016, but I might be wrong.
I may not have been Donald Trump. Mm.
Obama.
We have welcomed the
U.S.
president of the
president.
US. Yeah. What other ones? I think there's other ones I can remember. Yeah, so we've played in I think it was FIFA. I'm not really a big sports guy, so I don't really know the difference whether it's Premier League or FIFA, but
Same thing as
when
football.
yeah, when the match was in the UK, it was at
Oh.
Wembley. We played the Polish national anthem and the German national anthem.
Oh.
So, when when the players come in, it's like this is the German players, and then it's traditional that you play the national anthem, and everybody stands and like pay their respects.
Huh. I wouldn't think that the army band would play for like a sporting event. I thought it'd be
Yep,
like
you don't
a
know.
third party. I don't know. Other band.
Mm, in the absence of military bands, they'll just play music
Hmm.
in through the speakers. But it's a little bit more grandiose, I guess, if you
Ha-
have an actual live bunch of musicians playing um something quite nationalistic. I
Okay.
don't know, it just looks good, I guess.
Have you guys ever played like any music from animes?
Mm, no.
Oh.
Um no, because they need to be arranged for different parts in the band. But I have downloaded, so another part of the things that we do
Mm.
um is play for dinner nights for like extremely rich people.
What What do you mean by dinner nights? As in like a
So,
like
like a dinner
evening
event.
din. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So either a military dinner event,
Mm.
which actually is not for rich people, it's just for people who happen to have dinners and want dinner entertainment.
Mm.
Um, we play for them. But in those type of situations, you either have a full band
Mm.
or a much smaller band. So I play in what we call a woodwind quintet. So it's just a flute, an oboe, a clarinet, a French horn, and a bassoon.
What? Okay. What's a
And
quintet? Is that
just a
like?
five,
Oh, okay.
five,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
a group of five players. And I downloaded music from Octopath Traveler, and I haven't yet played it in an actual official gig, but we're working on it. So it's gonna be there.
Right, okay.
Yep. But not from animes. We need to find an arrangements for that.
Should play
Like when I
a.
say arrangement, like notes that are written on a
Oh,
piece of paper.
should do some songs from Attack on Titan.
What?
Attack on Titan,
Oh,
because they're heavy
I thought you
on.
said I thought you said hentai.
No, that is no. That is not what I said. I said Attack on Titan, but you
Mm.
could, because Attack on Titan is heavy on the militaries.
Oh. Well, there might be a woodwind quintet part for that. I'm gonna go and find it.
Wait, have you never watched Attack on Titan?
No,
Wait, you don't watch anime, do you? Do you?
not recently.
What was the last thing that you
I just
watched?
read mangas now. I just read mangas.
Oh,
I don't have the time. Like, are you? I mean, I tell you, I might have already mentioned it in a previous podcast. I watch YouTube at 2 times speed,
yeah.
but girl, anybody got time to watch Goku just shout ah for 3 episodes and not have anything happen?
Mate, it's okay. Those were like way back then, like when it takes Goku 3 episodes to charge up like his Kamehameha. It's like completely different
Yeah.
now.
Mm, I think maybe the last anime that I watched was a Ghibli animation on Netflix.
Wow, it's very old school.
Yeah. I'm old. I'm really old.
Uh, what was the third conception?
So the
Concept?
third one
Concept?
is that we don't shoot guns and we are purely ceremonial.
And you blow pipes.
Um uh as a regular musician, yeah, uh, uh, in general,
Mm.
we don't really get involved in those.
Mm.
But let's say I don't know, there's like maybe 800 musicians employed by the British Army
Oh,
across
that's not a
different
lot.
units. Well, the military is like the biggest employer of musicians
Oh, okay.
in the country, and a single employer of musicians. I mean, you
Mm.
have like little orchestras, but
Mm.
they're all different companies. But out of those 800 or so musicians, there are several soldiers, because we are soldiers first before we are musicians,
Mm.
who do partake in a little bit more intense soldiering part of their roles. By that, I mean we get volunteers who had participated in Afghanistan,
Mm.
um, not as a musician, but as a soldier.
Mm.
Um, I think there was probably, yeah, those. And but when I was in the regulars, within my unit, there were the seniors, the slightly older members of the band,
Mm.
who around the time when Kuwait war was happening and the Iraq war was happening, many bands got mobilized,
Mm.
and by mobilized, like get involved in military operations.
Sent to
Not
war.
really as a shooty type of person, type of unit, but
In,
more,
in the back line, providing morale.
yeah, they had to do quite a lot. I don't know how much of the Iraq war you guys know, but there was quite a lot of like chemical warfare involved
Oh,
in that, and actually including Vietnam War. But I think Vietnam was probably a lot
yeah,
way
I'm pretty sure
long
that's
time ago.
before my time.
Yeah. But Kuwait War and Iraq War. So I think the Iraq War was like 2003, 4. I don't even remember. Um, and then Kuwait was around 1991, 1992.
Is that
So
QAKUWAIT?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's some members of the band who got involved in those, helping decontaminate things. Um, b- but you don't when you're in an active war zone,
Mm.
even though you're only supposed to decontaminate stuff, you don't know what will happen, so you have to be prepared. And actually, I know of, I've heard of accounts of people who have had PTSD, post-traumatic stress
Disorder.
disorder. Yeah, because of the conflicts that they got involved in. So it's not just, I mean, yeah, it's not just musical stuff.
Okay.
Um,
In the efforts
yeah.
of making it sound a little bit more simpler, in like gaming terms, would you say that the, I guess, musicians of the army, they lean more towards the support or like the DPS side?
Mm, without additional training, because when I say additional training, like if we do get involved into war, we obviously we have to top up.
Mm.
But
Wait, what do you mean by top up?
um, in like top up training,
Oh,
so
right,
you
okay.
just do a little bit more. Um, yeah, we are a support, like whether that's kind of manning the bases
Mm.
for sentry duties, doing like basic patrols,
Mm.
not quite into the really dangerous areas, but like supposedly secure areas. But relatively speaking, there could be people like, especially like more modern conflicts these days involve a lot of like guerrilla fighting.
Define
By
guerrilla
guerrilla,
fighting.
like you don't know who's an enemy and who's not.
Mm.
Like people don't just like wear reds and you'll be able to tell that they're the enemy. Because they all blend in the background. Um, so, for example, let's say, right? Oh, actually, no, not West Drayton. Beep that out,
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
So um, let's say Kensington.
Mm-hmm.
Kensington? Hounslow. Let's say Hounslow.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Hounslow is a little town, and it it used to be full of really dangerous people.
Mm.
And then there's a full-on military operation there that had stabilized the area. So
You mean
it got rid
stabilized?
of as many dangerous people as possible. But in, we always see this in cinemas and movies. Even if it's safe, there are people who still have attachment to the previous ideologies and
Mm.
previous political leanings, and one or two of those people will eventually turn and do something drastic.
Mm.
But unlike in video games where you can respawn if you get hit, in the real world, if you get hit, you die.
Mm.
So some duties of support units, whether it's a musician or different parts of other support groups, they would have to do like constant patrols to kind of show presence in the
Mm.
area and to reassure the people who stayed that it is being managed, it is being controlled. But it only takes one person to go nuts,
Mm.
and something really horrible could happen
Mm.
where you go out alive, but you don't come back. So there still is that, but it depends on how dangerous the area is and what the situation level is. But yeah, that's quite a common thing in Afghanistan.
Mm. Side
Um,
anecdote. I do remember like, because we used to have a restaurant in Hounslow, and we
mm.
were quite near the barracks there,
Oh yeah.
and I always remember like a few of the, I guess, soldiers in barracks would order like either deliveries or takeaways, and then it'll be, because I was still quite young. I did find it a bit strange how they weren't, how sometimes they would just not come again. I like, how do I explain it? Like they'll be coming quite
They want.
often and then they just stop, and then
Oh,
you
they
kind
just
of,
disappear.
yeah, you kind of wonder
Yeah.
like what happened. Like did they get transferred or like
Yeah, they
did
just get
they?
transferred.
or did they, I don't know, die?
No,
To put
no,
it.
quite unlikely. If they're in Hounslow, they're probably most likely not dying. um, actually, as kind of at the end of the day, like being a soldier is a job. So you either get transferred to a different unit in a different place, or you leave the job.
Mm.
That's probably why they don't come back. Mm. Yeah, so 1 out of 3. That's pretty good.
Technically two. My third one was a little bit correct. You guys
Oh
don't
yeah, in
shoot
general, yeah.
guns,
I'll
really.
give it 1.7.5
Thank you.
over 3,
I
which is
appreciate that.
a half. 1.74, so it's not a half.
Oh, not even 1.75. 1.74.
Yeah, 1.74.
Great. Cool.
Yeah, so conceptions about military musicians. We do play in festivals and march and play music. Um, we don't play in the background anymore in active battlefields.
That
And
was that was not the case
some of
anymore.
us, very few of us, go and participate in battlefields and war zones outside of musician role, outside of the musician role. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. And that marks the end of this episode. Well, so much for, wanting to do that Am I the Arsehole Reddit posts. But we'll save that for another time.
Next time.
Next time. You can find Eric on Eric Does Digital, a Instagram account that he rarely uses.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that anything else that you want to plug?
No, that's it. That's my current creative project at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still in the middle of writing my dissertation.
You say that. I
Which
saw that you were playing freaking Final Fantasy. What was it? 16.
for 8 hours yesterday.
Streaming it.
Yep. But only because I wanted to have a rest. I wanted to give myself a break. It was a Sunday yesterday, so
I remember you saying whilst I was still working with you that you weren't gonna play Final Fantasy 16 until you do your dissertation.
no, but I wanted to play. This week I'm not gonna play it. Maybe I will play an hour tomorrow. Maybe 1 hour.
An
Actually, so
hour.
if you want me to, I'm gonna try out showing my face on the stream. I just need to figure out how to do that because I don't want to turn on the computer, but I might have a different way. So I'll probably try it for like an hour or two, and then I need to literally blitz my dissertation because I need to get it done. I don't wanna have to keep doing it over the summer.
Yeah.
I've got the components of it done. Yeah. So for now, Eric Does Digital. I stream on YouTube. YouTube.com/Eric Does Digital. And you'll see how amazing Final Fantasy 16 is and how rubbish I am at playing it.
Yeah, and Ad Oil Productions is still waiting for your logo.
It's coming up. You need to give me a brief
I swear
of
to
what
God.
you want in it.
I gave you a brief. I gave you
I
like the
need a better
whole
one.
concept idea.
Yeah, I need a better one.
God. Anyways, you can catch us on Spotify and YouTube under the name Ad Oil PRD or Ad Oil Productions. We are also on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment whatever you want us to talk about, and you can find me personally on John Icario at Instagram. Bye.